Greetings and welcome to Disrupt Your Day Season 2, Emerging Business Culture with Petula Sankarsingh. I am the CEO and founder of VisionReady. Season 2 brings you a powerful lineup of women who dare to be change makers and disrupt your day. Hi everyone, welcome to Disrupt Your Day. Season 2, Emerging Business and Culture. I am your host, Petula Sankarsingh. Today, we have Kim in the house. We are very excited. She is a powerhouse, a combination of just a whole bunch of badass stuff. I love it. Today, we're going to touch on addressing challenges from individuals and groups within the LGBT communities in relations to small businesses, getting opportunities, and any challenges and disparities she has seen and experienced, and as well as what we're trying to do and change. Welcome, Kim. It's so amazing to have you.
Petula, I need to have you as my hype person all the time. I love that. Thank you for that intro. I'm glad to be here.
Very welcome. I'll definitely take the job. So welcome. So tell us, how are things over there in Chicago? Tell us about all your experiences and how it hones back into the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity to share. You and I talked about the weather just before we started, and it's January in Chicago. And every January, February, I go, why do I live here? But this is where I am. Chicago is actually, I find it to be a really amazing place to be in terms of LGBTQ work. I like to say that we're in a bubble, and that's not to say that there aren't obviously real challenges. There are challenges everywhere. We've had a history of advocacy and activism that has put Chicago and Illinois, at least in terms of Illinois, in terms of state legislature actions, in the forefront in terms of policy changes that have helped protect LGBTQ folks. And we continue to, find ways to strengthen safety nets, strengthen laws and that kind of thing, and provide, generally speaking, just an environment where folks can thrive in whatever it is that they choose to do, from working in the nonprofit sphere, being entrepreneurs, finding other ways, creative ways to make sure that their needs are taken care of. We're super fortunate to just live at the nexus of a lot of great work that has happened over the years.
That is awesome. I'm happy to hear that. So I did a report, some background on the LGBTQ community as far as small businesses, and like certification process, and getting in front of getting contracts with government and corporation, and the numbers were really low in identifying that group in small business and even the certification. And then I realized that a lot of things aren't in place for the community, and I would like to see that change. And because we now provide a certification for the community. Can you expound a little bit on that?
Yeah, I would say, anytime you're going to talk about data in the LGBTQ community, we know that there's just a lot of underreporting because there aren't a lot of efforts to really get a sense of how large the community is, especially when you start talking about the state and local level, and even at the national level. a lot of that work has come from the census that hasn't had an LGBTQ related question for very long. And even then, it's really focused on same-sex households, not individuals.
Yeah, I don't see that
So
much on questionnaires or surveys.
so the undercount of LGBTQ folks is pretty significant, we think. And then when you move to, the business side, most places don't have an LGBTQ certification at all. So it's hard to even count, and there's who is asking the question of entrepreneurs and business owners, right? So I suspect, based on anecdotal information and just what I see in other parts of the LGBTQ community, that there are more business owners than the numbers would show, but there's very few opportunities and ways that are built in for folks to come around together, even around their business needs as an LGBTQ community. We've had a pretty active LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce for Illinois, and it has a long history, but in the last couple of years that I'm familiar with, it's been really active in terms of reaching out more broadly to LGBTQ folks around the state who wouldn't necessarily engage with the chamber before because they didn't know about it. And I think that's an opportunity to really leverage the numbers, the growing numbers of membership to do something. And I know there have been efforts in the past to create a local LGBTQ certification too for folks to tap into.
That's excellent. So what I've also learned that, which is horrible, they fall under the minority group, which if people actually take time to learn what the minority certification is, it's based on ethnicity, right? Not a group, so where we're trying to make that change, you're a woman, you're a minority, you're LGBTQ, or you're a veteran, or you're all of them, so I think that's where it falls for the community, because when it comes to contracts and within the government sector or even corporations, they're just saying, are you a minority?
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing. And that's how they're not being recognized. And like you said, those boxes aren't there. When you're answering questions for an application and to get an opportunity to, that chance to get a huge contract to grow your business, is just not there for the community. What work do you think that needs to be done for this to change?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I'll say some of the challenge that, I've heard folks talk about around this designation, and I would say it's misguided for the most part, but something to really, delve into as these policies and opportunities are being created, is that designation also could lend itself to cisgender white gay men. And there is an assumption that cisgender white gay men would have other opportunities because they're white men. And that's one of the criticisms that I've heard, but I think there are ways to deal with that, and just putting that out there really negates all the work, all the businesses and ideas and opportunities, real or future, for the diversity under the LGBTQ umbrella. Because
it is diversity,
there's a lot of diversity.
Right. A lot of diversity. And why can't we just have inclusivity? versus
Mhm.
like inclusion for everyone,
Yes. Yeah.
versus, what you look like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, that's the hump, I think, to get over, though, really to illustrate that there's so much diversity in the LGBTQ
Yes.
community. And, this, I was saying this just a moment ago, just the
Mhm.
collection of data on
Mhm.
LGBTQ people is so sparse.
It's
It's just, it's hard to know what the impact is of any
mhm.
policy or opportunity on our community because folks are not collecting the data.
No.
Institutions, whether they be, business offices at the state and local levels, um,
Mhm.
for entrepreneurship opportunities,
Mhm.
or even in the healthcare setting, just
Yes.
anywhere, the collection of data on LGBTQ folks is just not happening. And so certifications
Mhm.
really opened the door
Mhm.
for groups and individuals that otherwise wouldn't have the push that's needed. But
Yes.
it also is, a touch point to say, this is what the benefit of this opportunity is, or
Mhm.
this is what the needs of this community are. But if you're
Mhm.
not, the data isn't collected, the opportunities aren't created, it's hard to see where we count.
Right. And that is so impactful what you just said.
Mhm,
It's hard to see where we count because in doing my own research, with MBDA, with the Small Businesses Administration, with all those, different sectors within the government, it's not there. The
it is
data
not
is
there.
not there. It's
Mm-mm,
very, very limited, and it's like that whole group and that whole community is not being recognized, and
mhm.
I would really, really like to be on the forefront of change with that because that is not fair, you know?
And it's so needed because there's so much entrepreneurship going on in
So
LGBTQ communities. And a lot of it has stemmed from the discrimination that
mhm,
happens in other sectors that makes it challenging for
mhm,
folks to be safe.
yeah.
Um, and so folks are creating their own opportunities, and it would be wonderful to be able to provide those business owners with the opportunity to get just a little nudge, just a little more help.
Yeah.
I've been a business owner, and we
Right.
went through all the certification processes, which are not easy to do.
It is
You got to
so
really
rigorous, isn't
want to
it?
make this happen. Yeah. But then the doors that were opened as a result of having those certifications was really huge. It put us on the radar of larger companies so that we could be subcontractors.
Yes.
Um, and it gave us a window to other resources at the federal, state, and local level for business
Mhm.
owners. Um, Gave us more access to capital
Yes.
because we had the certification.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's such a benefit
Mhm.
to those certifications, and it would be nice if the LGBTQ community had access to those benefits too.
Yes, yes, and we're hoping to make that change and, with people as like yourself to help us facilitate those change, and make it more impactful for the community to be recognized.
Mhm.
When I was in Chicago, I lived in Chicago for like 30 years of my life. And I lived in Andersonville, and
Mhm.
that community, there the community was primarily LGBTQ and,
Yep.
owners of the bars and shops and stores. And I just loved the energy and the vibe, and it was just positive, and it was just always a great experience. And I don't understand, why people find that not to be a good thing to learn. And,
Mm.
one thing you did say in your bio that you're a lifelong learner, and I always say that about myself. I'm like, I'm a lifelong learner.
That's right.
Right. And I encourage others to do so as well. So Kim, let me dive into you a little bit and some thoughts that you may have.
Oh,
Um,
this is the hard part.
oh, no, it's good. It's good. So tell me, what's something people seem to misunderstand about you?
Huh. Um, I think sometimes people take niceness and openness as a weakness.
Yes, they do.
But I was raised to be a very loving, caring person, and I bring that into professional settings and everything I
Yes.
do, because I'm learning as I get older too. It's much easier to just be my authentic self than to
Mhm.
try to be somebody
Yeah.
else and switch that up in different places. But I think that's probably the main thing, that the niceness and the kindness is a weakness.
Oh, and it's not.
I don't think so. Because if
No.
they only knew.
If they already know what I know. So, next question for you. What is the failure that you most cherish?
Oh gosh. I have to cherish all of them, I think.
Right? I'm with you with that.
They have all been learning opportunities, but I guess one that really comes to mind, because I've been going through some old papers trying to make
Yeah.
room for new papers, uh, is that I did not get into a PhD program when I was applying many years ago. And
Yeah.
I think that is the best thing that could have happened to me.
Oh.
So I cherish that.
Yeah. There you go. Love it. So if you can go back 5 years, Kim, in your life, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Mm,
I think, and this is something I still have to remind myself of from time
mhm.
to time as a woman of color
Yeah,
in in the world,
right.
is that I am enough.
Mhm.
I talked about uh, not trying to be someone else, even in different settings. I mean, we all have to code switch from time to time.
Yes.
But I think for me, and I know for others in my sphere, you get all the degrees, you get all the certifications, you do all
Mhm.
the things because you're trying to signal to the world that you are a capable human being with,
Mhm.
you know, great ideas and thoughts and all of that stuff. And I would have probably had one less degree
Mhm.
and a lot more money as a result. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't have stressed myself out with imposter syndrome, and also just
Mm,
thinking that wasn't capable of doing things. I will say being a business owner taught
yeah.
me I can do anything.
Oh,
I could
right?
survive
The
anything.
resilience and grit you have to have for that.
You gotta figure it out.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
Yes.
do. Oh, well, thank you for that. That was very, very warm and definitely authentic.
Mhm.
So now, as we speak today, you are the executive director of the Pride Action Tank. It's a project of the AIDS Foundation. Um, and you also serve as the senior director of policy and advocacy and operations. So tell us a little bit about your role as executive director and how, has that been, and how does it resonate with you on a personal level?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate to do something that I absolutely love and
Mhm,
something that I helped co-create
mhm,
and brought it to AIDS Foundation Chicago. And they were like, oh, absolutely want to bring this into the
mhm.
organization. So it provides me personally with an opportunity to have some autonomy, be very creative,
Mhm,
um, really sort of live into my life's work.
mhm,
Um, as opposed to thinking about this as a job. And I know that I'm very privileged and fortunate to do that. And as a result, I get to bring my sort of philosophy of life into this work, which is highly collaborative and very much driven by community. So I get to try out and implement opportunities to definitely find ways to bring community voice into the work in a sustained manner, and also to convene all kinds of folks to address the issues facing our community. And that is wonderful. And then with my other hat, as a senior director, I work with an amazing team of folks who are really pushing some great public policy forward, both legislative and administrative policies, and just share that mindset around how do we bring community into this work.
Oh, that's amazing. And you're a storyteller. You host an event in Chicago, a co-host. So tell us about that. I love storytellers, by the way.
Oh, yes, storytelling is everything. Like many others, I was a little kid in the room when adults would share all the nonsense that they were doing currently and nonsense that they did as kids, which I couldn't even imagine these grown people being kids at the time. But the storytelling is just such a big part of my life in general before there were these formal outlets for me. But co-hosting Outspoken once a month is just a dream. It's the only monthly storytelling program in Chicago that is only LGBTQ or focused on LGBTQ folks every month. And that storytelling has such a huge impact on me that I've brought storytelling into the work at AIDS Foundation Chicago so that we move beyond sort of the 2-minute elevator pitch to legislative officials and move to expanded stories that we invite legislators and other policymakers to hear. So they're getting a more intense picture of what that individual or group of individuals has faced.
That's got to be very impactful, being able to share on a deeper level the story versus, like you said, that elevator pitch, right? I never really resonated with that, but I know
I
that's what
can't do
people
it.
look for. How can you get to know someone in just 100? I think it's like 140 words a character.
It's short, yeah.
It's too short. Yes. Well, thank you for all your amazing work within the community. Your impact that you're actually making a footprint throughout the community and much more. I mean, I definitely want to continue to stay in conversation with you, how we could continue to bring awareness to the LGBTQ community with the certifications, the opportunities, and just making it like standard, there are individuals and the groups, everyone's people, people.
That is the bottom line.
Exactly.
That's
it. The bottom line. I mean, man, it's so I mean, this has been a phenomenal talking to you. I wish I could talk to you all day.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do this after hours.
Yeah.
I'd love to come to Florida. Yes.
Yes.
Bottle of wine, probably.
Yeah, right. So, in closing, Kim, what would be some words of encouragement or just in your own authentic words that you would like to share to small businesses, the LGBTQ community, in just that group for growth, future, vision, that kind of thing?
Keep following your dream. I will tell you that when my business partner and I started our business the way we wanted to do it, again, community centered, we were told over and over again that model's not going to work, that model's not going to work. And they were wrong. The model worked. Our first year we had maybe 250,000 in revenues, small group, working with nonprofits and all of that. By the time I left the company 5 years later, we were up to almost $1 million in revenue. And some of those naysayers came back to us like, I thought this couldn't work, but clearly it can. So keep following your dream. That doesn't mean that you don't tweak things from time to time, but you're probably offering something that no one else can imagine. So just keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I was encouraged, follow your passion, what resonates with your soul. Well, thank you so much, Kim. And thank you everyone for joining us and visiting Disrupt Your Day. We hope you continue to follow us as a 100% women-owned minority company as well. We hope to continue to be impactful to you and our audience on a whole and globally. So we will share some information in the description on how to stay involved with Kim and get to learn more about what's happening in the community. Thank you and have an amazing day. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and letting us disrupt your day. Make sure and subscribe to our podcast. For the latest entrepreneur buzz, please sign up for our newsletter. The link is in the description. Remember, be the change you want to see in the world. Until next time.